After witnessing the growing affection between his son Dhiraj and Princess Mithra, Varman realized that their relationship could lead to something far more complicated. He knew that Dhiraj's feelings were genuine, but he also knew that a relationship between his son and the princess could change everything. Varman decided to act before it went any further. The next morning, Dhiraj was preparing to leave for the palace as usual, but before he could leave, Varman stopped him. Dhiraj turned around. "Yes, father." Varman looked at him seriously. "From today onwards, you will not go to the palace anymore." Dhiraj froze. "What?" He looked at his father in disbelief. "Why, father, what happened?" Varman slowly walked towards him. "Do you know who I am, Dhiraj? Do you know what this kingdom has done for me and our family?" Dhiraj still couldn't understand where his father was going with this. Varman continued, "I have been watching you for the past few days. I have seen the affection growing between you and the princess." Dhiraj's expression changed. Varman's voice became firm. "This will not end well." Varman took a deep breath. "I was born to a couple who worked as garden helpers in the Pushpanagaram palace. This kingdom gave me opportunities that I could never have imagined. The king gave me a place in the army. He gave me a purpose. He gave me a life. I will always be grateful to Pushpanagaram for that." He looked directly into Dhiraj's eyes. "That is why I have already made my decision. You will leave Pushpanagaram. You will go to your mother's native village. Your uncle will take care of you there." Dhiraj was stunned. "When can I come back?" Varman answered without hesitation. "Only when I call you back." Dhiraj's eyes filled with emotion. "Father, why are you doing this to me? I love the princess. I'm not ready to leave." Varman's expression hardened. "This is not a request, Dhiraj. It is an order." Soon after, Dhiraj's uncle arrived at their home. Dhiraj had no choice. With a heavy heart, he packed his belongings and followed his uncle. As they left, Dhiraj turned back and looked at Pushpanagaram. The palace stood proudly in the distance. Somewhere inside those walls was the princess he loved. But now he had to leave her behind. Dhiraj slowly turned away, and for the first time in his life, he left Pushpanagaram without knowing when he would return. Dhiraj's uncle was a skilled craftsman who built and repaired bullock carts and royal chariots. At first, life away from Pushpanagaram felt strange to Dhiraj. But as the days passed, he began helping his uncle with his work. He learned how to repair wheels, work with wood, and maintain the carts. Slowly, the sadness in his heart began to fade. For the first time in many days, Dhiraj started enjoying his simple life with his uncle. But one question still remained in his mind. One afternoon, Dhiraj was working at his uncle's workshop. Suddenly, he stopped. "Uncle!" His uncle looked at him. "Do you know anything about the Eastern Mountains?" His uncle's hand stopped moving. For a moment, he looked shocked. Then he gave a small smile. "I know a little, but your father knows much more about that place than anyone else." Dhiraj stared at him. "My father? How?" His uncle slowly turned towards him. "Because your father was not always just a soldier. Your father was once known as one of the most powerful lone warriors in Pushpanagaram." His uncle began to tell him what he knew. "Your father was born to a couple who worked in the palace gardens. King Viswanathan, the father of King Ramachandran, decided that Varman should be raised within the Pushpanagaram army. Under the king's orders, your father was trained in every form of combat. He learned the skills of a warrior. He learned the history of Pushpanagaram, and over the years, he became one of the strongest soldiers in the entire army. Years later, when your father was around your age, one night, a group of people from the Eastern Mountains secretly entered the palace. They attacked the palace and stole a powerful sword. They tried to steal the sword before many times, but this time they succeeded. The group claimed that the sword originally belonged to their kingdom and had been taken from them during the reign of King Viswanathan. When the news reached the king, he was furious. The following morning, King Ramachandran selected 500 of his best soldiers, and your father was chosen as their captain. The uncle's voice became serious. The king's order was simple: recover the sword and bring back everyone involved in the robbery alive. The 500 soldiers marched towards the eastern mountains, but the people there were already waiting. They knew the Pushpanagaram army was coming. When your father reached the mountains, he gave them one final chance. We have almost 3 times your numbers. Surrender yourselves. Return the sword and hand over everyone involved in the robbery. But they refused. They prepared for battle. There was no other option. The battle began. The Pushpanagaram army had the advantage from the beginning. Your father led his soldiers through the battlefield. After a long and brutal battle, almost half of the eastern mountain settlement had fallen. Eventually, the remaining people surrendered. One of their leaders stepped forward and faced your father. He pleaded for the lives of the remaining people. We accept our defeat, spare the rest of our people. But your father remained firm. My demand has not changed. I want the sword and everyone involved in the robbery. The leader finally agreed. He took your father and his soldiers towards the mountain peak. There, the group responsible for the robbery surrendered, and the sword was returned to Pushpanagaram. His uncle paused. From that day onwards, the eastern mountain people stopped trying to reclaim the sword. The people responsible for the robbery were imprisoned in Pushpanagaram. Dhiraj looked confused. If that sword was so important to them, why did they never try to take it back again? His uncle didn't answer immediately, because he had wondered about the same thing. Dhiraj suddenly asked, "Uncle, have you ever been to the eastern mountains?" His uncle nodded. "Many times." Dhiraj's eyes widened. "Really?" His uncle continued working. "In fact, I have to deliver a bullock cart there next week." Dhiraj immediately smiled. "Then take me with you." His uncle's expression changed. "No." Dhiraj looked disappointed. "It's not possible." "Why? If your father finds out that I took you there, he will never forgive me." Dhiraj stepped closer. "Please, uncle. I really want to go." His uncle looked at him carefully. "Why are you so curious about that place? If a group of people was willing to sacrifice their lives for a single sword, there must be something more behind it. And if the sword was truly that important to them, why haven't they tried to take it back again? Something doesn't make sense." His uncle remained silent. Dhiraj's question had made him think. After a long pause, his uncle finally spoke. "All right, I'll take you to the eastern mountains.